Hi guys, I'm Anita and I'm back with another video. I thought I wanted to share with you today a couple of Danish fantasy books that I am hoping to read soon, like that is higher up on my want to read list than others, and what I'm most excited to read and why. I will also make sure to mention when an author's book has been translated so you can know which ones you can actually also read. I don't know how many would think this is a good video, but I just thought I wanted to share a bit with you because I know that I haven't been the best in actually getting to the fantasy from Danish authors. I find it so difficult to balance out my reading because I want to read so many different things, and it's really difficult making sure that you read from all of the things that you want. So yeah, but I have become a little bit better and I am just taking one little thing at a time. Obviously one of my go-to authors now is going to be Kenneth Bøgh Andersen. There's no doubt in my mind that I want to read all of his books. More or less, I don't think there's any of his books that's not interesting to me in any way. I have read the first 5 books in the Great Devil War series, obviously, and I've read the first, I've read Tempus Fugit, which was a short novella. Once I finish the Great Devil War with the last book, The Fallen Devil, I will still have I think 15 or was it 19 novels to read, as well as I think a handful of short things that is not regular novels, and plus a comic book series of currently 6 volumes. It's a sort of superhero series called Ant-Boy, and he's currently writing or working on the newest one, so I have a lot of books to go for in there, and I definitely will be working my way through his collection as we go. A few up and coming or very new releases that I'm excited to read. The first one is called Af blod og støv, of Blood and Dust, by Julie M. Day. This is an author whose books I have already been talking about on my channel a little bit, like in terms of I have hauled a trilogy by her. I got it from the Fantasy Festival last year and I'm still really excited to read them. I will get into my Fantasy Festival books soon and let you know which ones I'm most excited to read of my already own Danish books. But this book is either it's just been released or it is being released very soon, and people have just started reviewing it because they've gotten early copies, arcs and stuff. And I saw that Kirsten, my friend Kirsten from Læsesmes Fantasy, has been reading it and says it's like really amazing, and sort of because I want to be on top of things, I felt like I'll definitely be wanting to read this. I might check out when it will be coming in at the library so I can get to it, because that way I can just get into this and then afterwards I can start reading the other trilogy that I have. And I'll get, as I said, get into that a little bit later. Another release that I'm looking forward to reading is Forglem My Eye, which is a Forget-Me-Not by Gry Kappel Jensen. This is the sequel to Roses and Violets, which I read last year. I'll just find it. These books are so gorgeous. I just think they're so beautiful, and the cover for the Forget-Me-Not is just as beautiful as the other one, and I'm looking forward to seeing where this series will go. And again, I'm not sure if this has been released yet or if it is just about to be released, but I'm looking forward to reading it at least nonetheless. Then I have another one. I'm not sure how I'm going to be liking this one, but it's another author that I've actually also read something from already. That is Frans by Mikkel Vendelbo. I read this book called Pigen fra Finnmarken, or The Girl from the Fenfield. I don't know how to translate this book, but I don't know exactly what Franz is about, but the cover looks really fun, and at least I'm interested in seeing what it's like, and if it comes in at the library soon, I'll try and get to it. So those are like newer releases that I'm excited to read, and then I have a couple of other books that I'm also really interested in reading. That has in some way or form been brought to my attention recently, that I've not already talked about in my haul. Like I just did a library haul where I was talking about a couple of books that I've gotten, but these are like some authors that I've wanted to read that I just haven't gotten around to yet. And the first one I have is Den Sorte Enkes By, or the City of the Black Widow. I think that will be how you would translate it, by Nicole Boyle Rødtnes. I don't actually know how to say the author's name. She has written so many books, so if I get into this and really enjoy it, I have such a big collection to get started on. She is one of those very prolific authors in Denmark, so I'm very looking forward to it. Then I have, this next one is actually a horror book that is called The Girl Who Wasn't There by Nick Clausen. This has actually been translated, so if you're interested, then definitely look out for it. But it's only been translated into e-copy, so it's only available in English in e-copy and ebook form. So if you're an ebook reader usually, then you can definitely see if you can't get it. He is an independent publisher, or using independent publisher or something like that. Probably has had some help in translating them. But I know that he is very well talked about in terms of horror in Denmark, and I'm looking forward to reading it and seeing if I agree. Then I have another book by another author that also seems to be coming like a very popular author in Denmark, and that is Sissel Sander Mittet, who writes the trilogy of Bjergtaget. I think I've had another book of hers on my radar, but I am a little bit more interested in reading this one. I think it sounds more like my kind of thing, but if I like it, then I have the other trilogy I can go to. And then I have another one that I just stumbled upon. I'm not sure what it's actually about, but it's called Elementprøven, the Elemental Trials by Julie Midtgaard, which I think is set in the 1600s or something like that. So it's like a historical fantasy. Yeah, I don't know, it seems pretty decent, and I think Kirsten from Læsers med Fantasy read it and really enjoyed it, so I'm hoping that I will as well. The next one I'm not sure about, but it's called Sandrytteren, or the Knight of Sand, or Sand Knight, or something like that, by Tina Wagner, which looked like, at least it had some diversity. I don't think a lot of fantasy in Denmark has a lot of that, but I don't know exactly. I haven't read enough, so I can't say. But now let's get to the books that I already own that I'm most excited to read, because I definitely have I have 3 more books, authors on my shelf, but I'm not as excited about them as I am about these 4. Another book by Mikkel Vennerbo I'm looking forward to reading, because I read the first book in the series, and that is Dæmonens Spind, or The Web of the Demon's Web, which is the second book in the Anja-fabelen. I don't know how to say that. The first one I was so easily read. As I said, I had another Julian Day book series on my list, and that is the series called The Borders of Trofallas. The first book being called The Halves Legacy, or Legacy of the Halves. And if I like the other book, I've definitely bumped this up on my reading list. It is kind of a big one. One book that I have on my most anticipated reads actually is Vindermændenes Nat by Tobias Stenbæk Bro, which is called, I think, the Men of Aries Night, or the Night of Men of Aries. I don't know. I hate translating Danish titles because it's actually really difficult, because we have a different structure, sentence structure than English and stuff, so it can sometimes be a little bit difficult translating them. But yeah, looking forward to this one. If I like this, I have the second one as well. So yeah. And the last one I have is a dark fantasy kind of thing. I think Tobias Stenbæk was also very dark, gritty fantasy, but I'm not sure. But that is In Death and Onwards, og I Døden og Videre by Jacob Kokkedal, sorry. This is the first book in the Faithful Brothers series. I know, like, Kirsten just read the sequel or something like that, or got the third book or something, and yeah, so I need to get to this. It is definitely one of the longer fantasy books, but it's not over 500 pages, so yeah, looking forward to trying this out. And these are more, the last two are more adult fantasy, where I think the other has been more young adult fantasy, because that is generally the most talked about or most written genre. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below if you found this video interesting at all, and if there are some Danish fantasy authors you've known about that I haven't talked about in this one that you think I should read. But I decided to try it. I decided to try and narrow it down a little bit, so I have something to move on from and see how it goes. And hopefully I'll be able to actually get to these fairly soon. Yeah. Anyway, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye.